This is a strange school, no classes and no studies. The only task is to wash your face 20 times a day under surveillance. You can't leave until the green light comes on. If you don't wash your face on time, they will be taken away by the security guards and put in a small dark room. They were adopted by the school as orphans. They've lived here since they were children. The instructors told them, it's the end of the world out there. The environment is very polluted. The air is also very poisonous. That's why they have to take a vitamin every day to fight the poison. And every year that passes, they move up a floor, until the day they reached the 16th floor. The instructor told them that the course was over. They would be picked up and taken to a place where they could live without contamination. Everyone seemed very excited, especially Jenny. She was the best child in the class, but her friend Amy looked preoccupied. She told Jenny with a wary look on her face, don't ever take vitamins again. Although Jenny was puzzled, but she didn't spread the word. But today's vitamin seemed to have changed. It had turned into a blue pill. In front of the camera. She had to eat the pill in front of the camera. She turned around and snuck into the toilet, and spat it out straight into the toilet. And then something unexpected happened. By the end of the night, Jenny said goodnight to the roommate next to her as usual, but there was no response. When Amy on the other side of the room sat up, telling her not to shout, they won't wake up, because the so-called vitamins are sleeping pills. No matter how much noise there is afterwards, they had to pretend to be asleep. And then there were footsteps in the hallway. Jenny lay back down with some trepidation. The instructor came in with 2 security guards. Then, under the command of the instructor, Jenny and the other girl were picked up and taken away. The 2 girls were taken into the lounge. At this point, the instructor came in with 2 middle-aged men. It was as if they were being presented with an object. The man kept complimenting Jenny on her looks. The woman walked over to the mirror. She lamented her aging face. After a lot of selling by the instructor, the woman finally chose another girl. Jenny is carried back to the dormitory again. However, during the night, different girls were taken away one after another. Jenny is instantly frightened. She tries to get out, but she inadvertently discovers a terrible secret. The girls had been kept in captivity. Thought it was for their protection, but instead, they are stand-ins for the rich. The girls accidentally overhear the instructor bargaining with the rich. It turns out that what they call adoption was a deal. She rushes to tell Amy the news. She wants to escape together, but with all the surveillance and security guards, how could they escape? The first thing they thought of was the access card, but when Amy tried to tell the other girls the truth, Jenny refused. The day the doctor came to do a routine checkup and cited a fever as the reason, they were all vaccinated. It was the first time she had come into contact with a doctor who was like a loving father. Jenny felt very warm and fuzzy. Maybe the doctor could help them, but before she could even think about how to ask, a girl suddenly fell to the ground, convulsing all over, and there were terrible bruises all over her arms. When the doctor examined them again, Jenny inadvertently revealed she had seen the instructor working with the security guard. When this was said, the doctor was momentarily stunned. After thinking about it for a while, the doctor asked her if she took her vitamins regularly. Jenny nodded her head in shock, and the doctor changed his usual gentle demeanor. After giving her the mandatory vaccination, and then told the instructor about it, and then she was put in a small dark room. Jenny thought that the kind-hearted doctor was the mastermind behind all this. On the other hand, Amy tried to save Jenny. She made a rope out of a bed sheet and pretended to sleep. While the security guard was about to commit an act of misconduct, she jumped on him from behind, strangling him around the neck to get the access card. But just as he was about to save Jenny, the alarm sounded. There was nothing else to do. Amy had no choice but to flee. The instructor then called all the girls together. That Amy had been locked up, and that she had been given a severe punishment, but the access card she had stolen was unaccounted for. The doctor, unable to find her accomplice, decided to make an example of her. She told security to take a random girl to a dark room. If she didn't turn herself in within a day, then all the girls would be punished. To make sure this never happened again, the female instructor personally monitored the pills every day. She also checked to make sure they were hidden under their tongues. Jenny fought through her sleepiness, stabbing her palm with a hairpin to stay awake. After a lot of searching, she eventually found the access card in a crevice at the foot of the bed. She sneaks out and stumbled to the instructor, trying to find out where Amy was, but the instructor was already on guard. She took out an injection and tried to stop Jenny's approach, but Jenny's strong will was the first to attack, before the instructor could react, and gave her a double dose of sleeping pills. She then found the access card in the drawer, and managed to rescue Amy. The two were looking for a way out when they accidentally discovered a bizarre room. There were 3 strange bags. It turns out that the so-called adopted girls had never left this place. They had been turned into corpses. Their skin had been stripped clean from their bodies. It turns out that this is not a sanctuary at all, but an underground base for the rich to stay young, keeping their skin out of the sun for years. They take their pills at the right time and sleep through the day, in order to look their best, and the drugs that are injected, to match the right person with the right person. Amy wanted to tell the girls all about it, but Jenny refused. Against Jenny's advice, she insisted on gathering all the girls, trying to get them out of here. But the girls had been brainwashed for years. The seeds of their minds had been planted deep in their hearts. In the face of the girls' questions, Amy couldn't resist. That's when Jenny came to them with her instructor. She told them that there's no such thing as adoption. We're just a bunch of lambs to be slaughtered. As she did so, she lifted the instructor's hair, revealing the stitches. The crowd was now convinced of this terrible truth. They then put the woman in a small dark room. The group made their way to the top floor. A desperate girl pushed open the door, but the alarm suddenly sounded. The crowd was so frightened that they fled. The security guards were in pursuit. Jenny and the two of them take advantage of the chaos and hide in the warehouse. Then the doctor came after them. He continued to compel Jenny, and said that her face was the most beautiful, and that it was the most valuable. He'd waited 16 years for that face. Jenny knew that the doctor cared about this face, so she picked up the scalpel. She slashed at her own face. She wanted to destroy the doctor's dream with her own hands. The doctor was then taken away by security. It turns out there's someone else in charge, until the door to the warehouse slammed open again. The sun shone warmly on their faces, and they were finally rescued. After 16 years of not seeing the sunlight, at this moment they were finally given a new lease of life. They had been trapped here since they were children, without seeing the sun or the sky. They don't know the world outside. Every day they obey and obey again. But the moment they tried to escape, they were truly themselves.